Hello, and welcome to this edition of Office Hours with Stitchcraft Marketing. I'm Flossie Arend, one of the account managers at Stitchcraft, and I'm joined by my colleague, Rebecca Hubin. We created the monthly office hours as a venue to share our insights on important topics and to give you an opportunity to ask us questions. I have a 10 to 15-minute presentation up top, and at the end, I'll open up the floor. You can always drop questions into the chat about the topic at hand or anything else that comes to mind. And if you're comfortable, I'd love for you to introduce yourself in chat. You can share your name and a little bit about your craft business. Today's presentation is built on a blog post that we released earlier this month on our predictions for the 7 hot crafting trends of 2024. So if you've attended our trends presentations in previous years, you'll notice the return of some familiar crafts for 2024. Crafters continue to enjoy cross-pollinations. In particular, embroidery keeps popping up in other crafting arenas. In quilting, we've also been witnessing a lot of quilters bringing their craft into clothing design. Last year, candle making was everywhere. This year, crafters are taking it one step further. For knitters and crocheters, they're playing with a lot of color work using an easy, approachable method. And in 2023 and 2022, we saw a lot of terrazzo and resin work. For 2024, crafters are opting for air dry clay, which, as you'll see, will make sense as we move along. And as we move towards the conclusion of the presentation, you're going to notice an overall trend. A lot of these crafts are easy and accessible. Crafts that are easy and accessible are very popular right now. So for our first trend, we called it embroidered everything. We listed it first because this is something that has been trending for years now, and it shows no signs of slowing down. Crafters continue to love adding embroidery to whatever they're crafting. Embroidery brands are catching on, and they've started releasing more stick and stitch designs to make it really easy for crafters to embroider onto anything. Essentially, if you can push a needle and thread through it, crafters will do it. This includes paper, knitting, crochet, quilts, photographs, leaves, clothing, etc. We're telling our craft clients that if they can incorporate embroidery into their strategy, there are some nice and easy ways to do so. Some great entry points are with the stick and stitch designs and kits that utilize stick and stitch designs. Here are some examples of embroidered everything. On the left, you'll see this is an embroidered quilt by Cassia Jaquote Embroidery on Instagram. She's actually created kits so crafters can duplicate the work she's creating, which is handwork embroidery, very folkish, on patchwork quilting. In the center is a pair of embroidered sneakers by Brittany Blooms on Instagram. These are regular Converse sneakers, and as you can see from the design, this is something that you could really use stick and stitch for, because a lot of these stick and stitch designs are small and densely packed. And then all the way on the right, we have an embroidered sweater by Knitted Bliss JC on Instagram. She designed the sweater and then she embroidered flowers onto the sleeves. For our next trend, we called it Quilted Everything. This is quilted clothing and accessories. The video that should be playing right now was taken by Quilt Folk magazine at QuiltCon this year. Quilters are transforming quilted panels into garments and accessories. Is it not playing? Let's get it playing. Quilted clothing was huge at QuiltCon this year, proving that quilters really want to show off their work in public. We're thinking that this trend likely follows on the enduring patchwork and upcycling trends. While some quilters are designing new pieces, many are opting to upcycle old quilts and thrift store finds. So I'll let that video finish and then I'll push it forward. Okay. So on the left here, you'll see quilted shoes by Blue Tulip Handmade on Instagram. Next to that is a quilted hat by Psychic Outlaw on Instagram, and they're actually upcycling a lot of old textiles into hats. Then we have a quilted bag by Crafty Kristen F on Instagram. And then finally, this was a late addition. We noticed earlier this month that Casey Musgraves actually showed up on SNL in a fully quilted coat. Our next trend focuses on candles. So if last year crafters were making candles, this year they are painting them. And the trend takes two forms. Crafters are either painting with acrylic paint or they're painting with wax. This craft is another one that has a very low barrier for entry. All you need is candles and paint, or if you're working with wax, all you need is candles. However, painting with wax is much harder than painting with acrylic. There are many fails on TikTok and Instagram for crafters attempting the trend with wax, and you will see it in the next slide. There's a video there that shows one person, a group of people attempting to paint with wax, and it's very difficult. The wax hardens very quickly. You have to work very quickly to get it going. It's just, you have to be good at it before you start trying with the wax. But painting with candles is sort of the new paint and sip for Gen Z. If in previous years, friends were gathering together to paint things and drink wine, and now they're doing it with painting candles, the younger generation at least. So these should auto play. Yep. So you'll see on the far right, this was a painting with wax fail. Messy Vlog had a really tough time with it. They were trying to work quickly. It didn't turn out the way that they expected it to. You will see a lot of these on TikTok, people failing to paint with the wax because it's very difficult to do. However, the acrylic ones turn out really pretty, and if you keep the design simple, it's easy enough to do. So for our next trend, we have mosaic color work. It's a very easy way to perform color work magic. It's always been a popular method of color work, but we've seen a recent explosion of designs in the last few years. Essentially, we find it to be easy and appealing because it doesn't require holding more than one yarn at the same time. I think that's why it's probably so popular for knitters and crocheters and new knitters and crocheters, because it's very easy to accomplish complex color work. And there are several popular mosaic designs for both knitters and crocheters that have been released recently. This one on the left is a cat mosaic crochet pillow by Natalia Kononova. She actually has this design on a bag and I think a few other things, but she has a lot of really beautiful, complex colorwork crochet designs. The picture in the middle is of the pressed flower socks by Amy Christoffers, and she is someone who has taken this mosaic design and she's put it on everything. I think she has a pullover, she has a shawl, she has a cardigan, she has a vest. So clearly this is something that's performed really well for her, and she's applied it to other garments and accessories. And then on the right, we have the Artus cowl by Natasha Hornby. Our next trend is air dry clay, an easy and inexpensive sculpting medium. So if terrazzo was popular in 2022 and resin was popular in 2023, 2024 is the year for air dry clay. It is another trend that focuses on ease and accessibility. Air dry clay requires no heating or setting equipment. It's also affordable, it's easy to manipulate, it's non-toxic, and you can easily embellish it with beads, paint, sequins, and other materials. And as a medium, it's adaptable to many items. You can turn it into jewelry, home decor, wall art, like this air dry picture by Lisa K. Flower, which is sort of like the Hokusai wave, ornaments, planters, all kinds of things. So here we have three examples. On the left, you have a pair of earrings by Art of Clay. In the center, this is a mirror frame by claymoo.co. And then on the right, we have a wall candle sconce by Sculpt It. Our next trend is craft kits, which provide everything crafters need in one package. As we move into these last two trends, I want to stress how much they reflect back and can potentially encapsulate the craft trends that preceded them in this presentation. Kits make crafts more accessible and less intimidating for new crafters. There are all-inclusive kits for nearly all the trends listed here. Kits also allow new crafters to dip their toes in a craft technique. They don't have to purchase all the items or accessories necessary to explore a new craft that they could potentially not be interested in after making one thing. With a kit, they can buy a kit, they can test it out, experiment, and see if it's a craft that they want to pursue further. We also think kits open up great opportunities for custom creations. You can partner with independent creators and make unique one of a kind kits for your business. And in a world where increasingly people can find the same or similar products just by Googling, creating custom kits really sets you apart because you're creating something exclusive. We would also suggest considering testing out other crafts for your customers with kits. Quilt shops and yarn shops can easily offer embroidery kits to play on the embroidered everything trend and expand their offerings. So these are some examples of craft kits. We have a candle painting kit by Hobby. It's literally 3 candles and then 6 smaller wax candles. It's a wax candle painting kit. In the center, we have a paper piecing kit by Legit Kits. They include everything you need to complete one of their paper piecing quilts in a single kit, all the fabrics, the instructions, everything. And then on the right is an embroidery kit by M Creative J. That's Melissa Galbraith. And she actually creates embroidery kits with everything you need to make the piece featured. And she also has a lot of stick and stitch designs. So she clearly understands that this is a really easy and affordable way to draw new crafters into embroidery. For our next trend, we have group craft events. This is our final trend, and this is all about engaging in crafts together. Group crafting events and retreats are a natural outcropping of this year's trends. Many of these crafts invite communal crafting. We're still living in a post-pandemic world, and many crafters crave events to gather around. Group craft events are another trend that give craft retailers an edge, because if you can create an exclusive product around a unique experience, that goes really far in setting yourself apart from your competition. Again, I would stress that businesses shouldn't feel limited by the crafts that they sell. We've seen clients lean into offering events that center other easily accessible crafts. For example, this paint party on the left is from one of our clients, Thimbles Quilts. They offer a paint party pretty much every month, and pretty much every month it sells out. And these are quilters who are coming to their shop to sip and paint. You know, they provide libations and they have an instructor come in, and there's a specific design every month, and they're doing really well with that. And it's a quilt shop. So if you can find ways to incorporate other fun crafts into your shop that have nothing to do with the crafts you already offer, it's a really nice way to create a unique experience. In the center, we have MYAC Tibetan Fibers knitting retreats. The next one upcoming is with Isabel Kramer. And then finally on the right, this one is relatively recent. It was in the last month or so. It was the Knit Happy Summit. And it was a free 4-day event. And for free, you could access all of the presentations. And then if you spent an extra $100, it gave you access to $550 worth of knitting workshops, courses, knitting patterns, and resources. So this was a really fun surprise that came out earlier this year. Those are all of our crafts for 2024. So now I'd love to open it up to everyone and see if anyone has any questions or comments or anything at all.